Hello, everybody. Thank you guys so much for stopping by NECC. It's week number 7, and we have one of the strongest teams in the nation going against another heavy hitter. My friend Corbeck, it's so good to see your beautiful face on broadcast once again.
Good to see you too, Chief. Looking forward to the matchup today. Definitely, like you said, right, some heavy hitting teams that we're going to have the opportunity to see, and some teams that you and I have had the opportunity to see before as well, right? Some squads that we've had an opportunity to watch in play, get an idea, and I know that you're well versed in them to a certain extent, and certainly well versed about certain players on these lineups as well.
And you know what? We've been alluding to the game today. It's uOttawa versus Purdue, and let's meet the representatives of Purdue. They're coming off an incredible victory yesterday in CR6. It went the distance. That's going to be Laggers, Providence, Goose Smitty, Hangman, and their substitute today, Silver. And honestly, this is, again, one of the best rosters in the nation, currently seated 3rd.
Let's take a quick look to uOttawa Garnet. That's Xander, Kiro, Riven, Axon Ackerman, and Not Sod. So again, another solid lineup, perhaps not coming off, like you said, Purdue's University rather bumping victory that they had yesterday, but still a very solid team. And I mean, it's worth pointing out though, right? We talk about these two teams as being quite strong, Chief, but neither of them have a particularly sterling record here so far in the NECC. Both of them have at least, I think, one game that needs to be rescheduled. And I think maybe actually, now that I look at it again, there might have been a bit of an error on my sheet because they're saying their record is 2-1, but then I say 3 wins in the column here for Purdue Gold. So I think they're cooking along. I've just been fed some false information. Let's take a look at our map bands instead.
And I love the map band choice. Look at this. We're going to Villa, Bank, and then Clubhouse. I'm extremely excited to see this map pool. I mean, right? We always see Borrigan, Dub House every so often in Cafe, right? So it's gonna be a very fresh series. And I want to quickly back up. I was hyping up Purdue again, top 3 currently in the nation, but uOttawa has not been kind of playing with their ringer. Not Sod is by far one of the best. At one time underagers, now 18-plussers in the amateur community. I mean, they have been an ELO demon for a very long time. Now that they're making one of their first debuts into collegiate, that is something that the Purdue offense and defense is going to truly have to respect, because Sod can shoot back.
If you're familiar with the scene, you're probably aware of, right? Or you at least had your eye on and heard about in some on the teams on Purdue to see what they can muster against it. And like you said, Chief, I mean, it's an interesting selection of maps, right? Anytime we get to see Bank played, it implies a very different style of gameplay from what we normally see. That said, starting off on Villa here, you shouldn't expect anything too different from what we usually see here on operator bans. Nomad actually being banned, that is a little bit interesting to me. I'm just being corrected left, right, and center here tonight, Chief. That's one that I'm a little surprised, because usually I would expect maybe like a Flores to go in that spot just to remove the drones and the ability to util denial, but perhaps Purdue Gold just more concerned with flank watch.
Well, while Nomad was in play during the series that were taking place yesterday for Purdue, one of the things that Purdue does well is be almost perpetually aggressive. And that's something that's very difficult to do, Tristan, where Purdue's always going to be active in the round, especially during attack. They're always going to be trying to take gunfights, drone out, and swing. And then on defense, that's going to be probably like times a million, because they're just going to be taking as many possible gunfights. They're going to be roaming aggressively. And even if they fail on their roam, they have Mila and Providence, some of the best support players in collegiate, to be able to kind of subsidize when their primary entries fall.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
It's a very valid point right there. Interesting attacking lineup that we're seeing coming out of Purdue, and perhaps leaning into what you were saying about the aggression. I mean, the Montaigne pick in general from Mila, that's a fascinating choice, right? There's never a round where Montaigne is played where you particularly find it boring. It has a lot of different strategic implications on how you want to use that operator, how you want to use that shield. It also does take a gun kind of out of contention, right? Obviously, the Montaigne has the pistol. He's shouldn't be disregarded on that front, but he is far more vulnerable than a lot of other operators. The other one that's really interesting in here as well, I mean, they're all quite interesting, I'm going to be honest, but the other one that stands out immediately as someone who doesn't get a ton of play is the Nook as well from Hangman, an operator that we don't see a ton of, right? Despite, you know, having the frag grenades and a not bad gun there with the FMG and the ability to kind of go stealth. Again, it's just not an operator we see very often, so I'm very curious to see kind of the interplay here between a Montane and a Nook, with a couple of other, like I said, strange operators in there as well. I mean, an Amaru and a Dokkaebi as well. What are we looking at?
This is the Purdue, I hate to say it like this, but this is the Purdue kind of troll selection. And they bring this out when they think that they're the superior team. And sometimes they most certainly are. Again, they're one of the best teams in the nation right now. They're going against uOttawa, and I don't think that they should be bringing out their disrespectful lineup this early, because if not Sod catches wind of this, they can completely smoke a troll lineup single-handedly, let alone the other additions to uOttawa. And if Purdue might learn this lesson early on, that they're going to have to be a little bit more respectful. With that being said, Mila is going to be the primary point of contact, spotting out 2 members of uOttawa on the primary red stairs, and it's actually a well-done counter push by Purdue to continue to challenge the angles from multiple different positions. Laggers on the Amaru does find the opening kill, but that was Guzmini trying to take that bottom floor control, not being droned in appropriately, and Sod is able to hightail it out of there.
They're having a lot of success here, primarily from laggers. The bomb is obviously already down. Kiro coming back in to try and contest here. Does manage to land the shots there. The Sterling SMG coming in handy. Mila there on the door contributing almost immediately, but here comes Sod swinging back in towards Vault. Unfortunately, can't find the shots. And it does look like the troll composition will work, at least temporarily. But, I mean, kind of like you said, right, Chief? It's the kind of thing where you maybe get 1 or 2 of those. I don't know that if you consistently want to try and run that into a team of the quality of Ottawa, that you're necessarily going to have success every time. And certainly it didn't go, I mean, it didn't go all their way. If it hadn't really been for the sort of positioning of Lagger there and the fact that Lagger also had an LMG, I don't think that would have gone quite as well.
And what we're going to see very soon is uOttawa make a change to be more aggressive on the roam, and in particularly help not Sod in that roam. A solo roam was good enough to pick off one. That was Smitty falling. And imagine if Ottawa is able to kind of continue on doing so. Come in behind the Monty, come in behind that aggressive play. Purdue was very hyper-focused on just pushing the bomb site, allowing Mila to be this brick wall, clearing out uOttawa members and have other people swing behind that giant shield that is Monty. That's not going to always work against uOttawa. Again, a very calculating team with some very high-level gunners.
It's interesting that Kiro is running this Frost now for the 2nd round in a row. I don't necessarily disagree with the idea of having a Frost out on the field. I think in a lot of ways she's an operator that sometimes gets a little underappreciated, all things considered, with what she brings. But it's an interesting choice when you look at maybe other potential shield operators that could be brought. I mean, especially you have the opportunity right on the 6th pick here to maybe bring a Warden with Providence playing the Yang, but instead you decide to stick with the Frost, which I think is a choice worth mentioning. On the other side, I mean, I don't think there's too much to talk about, right? We know that this is kind of a slapdash group of ops, and already Laggers is going to try and do the exact same trick. Won't work that time, though. Xander blows him back to next week. That shotgun not to be messed with in close quarters. And there's a perfect example right there, Chief, of overconfidence killing.
Yeah, that was pretty brazen, wasn't it? Not the best decision from Purdue, and they're going to... Yeah, but they're still doing it. Like, they're still just as aggressive. So I don't think that Purdue has quite learned the lesson. Again, like I said, they should be quite fearful of uOttawa. You're not going to get away with the odd shenanigans many rounds in a row. And I actually like the way that uOttawa is playing this. We talked about coming in from behind, and it's the aggressive stance over by Master. Kiro doesn't quite get the wind of that, though. They take the Monty shield one-on-one, and actually Monty themselves unsheaths for that pistol.
Well, they're basically running 2 shield operators up this staircase, right? Already the smokes are coming out to deny them. Guzmini just kind of playing a little bit of backup. Clearly has an idea of where the roam is. Narrowly avoids some sort of wall banger right there. Providence actually taking a little bit of damage. A lot of LMGs being featured right there. Look at that, not Sod. Simple reverse of direction. Fortunately, Mila was able to get a kill in the meantime. Here comes the smoke there. That's going to slow Hangman down just a little bit. Providence trying to do some flashbang trickery there to defend the bomb, or to defend the plant. Unfortunately, the plant will not not be denied. Good C4 there coming up for Axe and Ackerman to take down Providence, though. The bomb is planted. Monte gets eaten alive by Sod, and that just leaves Hangman here holding the stairs. We'll take down Axe and Ackerman in return, but it's a 2v1. Not Sod with the finish. A good, clean triple kill there for the Jaeger player, and he'll run in and defuse. So hopes and dreams, maybe memes right there, but they do not come to fruition on that round.
The problem was Mila. They unsheathed the shield and they just kind of tossed. If you're the Monty in the post plant, Tristan, the one asset that you have going is the fact that there are no explosives left, and just keep that shield up. What are you going to do with a Monty in your face? Cower and hide in the corner. But when the Monty takes away their best defense and tries to bring out the pistol, overconfidence on the side of Mila, and I guess also on the side of Laggers, are being that opening death. Again, Purdue is going to try to play, as I call it, the loosey-goosey style of Rainbow Six Siege, where you get in your opponent's face early on, and I think that's worked for a lot of teams that Purdue has played in NECC. It's not going to fly with uOttawa.
I mean, you saw it too right there. If there's ever a bomb site and a plant location where Montaigne can just stand on top of a bomb, you're looking at it, right? That's about the best that you're ever going to get. A tight corner of which there's no way to dislodge him with an explosive. So anyway, overconfidence kills. I'm not going to, you know, obviously I think Purdue Gold is the stronger team here. I don't think that's it. That can really be denied, right? But I do think that you have to at least take into account that your opponents can be quite strong in return, right? This is something you have to take into account. Looking here as we move over to trophy and statuary, you see double Jaeger, Wamai combo, so a lot of projectile denial being included. The Thunderbird, an interesting choice, and still Kiro running this Frost pretty much to the hilt here, despite the fact that I don't think we've really seen a Frost mat get value, or particular value has been derived from the shields. Still very much a central part of this lineup, and that Frost mat will have to be dealt with here by the members of Purdue Gold. Mila in particular needs to be a little bit careful there.
And I wish we had, like, real-time statistics, or even... Okay, that was bad, Laggers. We're just going to move on from that. I was going to talk about the Frostmat. I'd love to see the percentage in which Frostmats are put in the field of play and actually find, you know, somebody falling on the Frostmat or putting their kneecaps on the Frostmat. I will say, though, Frost does more than just the mats, right? It's very hard to quantify an attacker jumping in through a window and not hitting the Frost mat, but being forced to deal with somebody gun up. There's a Frost mat kill, though. You asked for it, and you got it!
Oh no, I'm not. That's just unfortunate. I did say though, he's got to be careful, right? If you see a Frost in contention and you're attacking this point, you have to think that there's going to be a Frost mat in the corner right there. Hangman though does kind of provide almost a secondary shield, but Kiro there with the Sterling gets one more. And by the way, last week I was visiting a friend of mine. He had a Sterling SMG. I got a chance to fire it at a gun range. It was very cool.
Really?
Regardless,
awesome.
Yeah. Not fully automatic though, not like quite like Frost, but it was still cool. I was like, oh man, I'm in siege now. Regardless, Sod there falling back to statuary. About a minute and 20 seconds left here. It's a 1v4. Poor Hagman.
Well, this is not the position that you want to be in, certainly. You do have a PDW, and this has plenty of bullets in the magazine to shut down 4 members, but Hangman's reaction time is just a smidge off. The 416 of Not Sod is good enough to find that kill. Again, I know Purdue, top 3 in the nation right now, but Not Sod is probably top 10 in the nation as an individual gunner. And I think Purdue is starting to learn this, that they cannot do weird things.
Well, they're pulling out Blackbeard and Nook.
More weird things.
Yeah, they're more weird things. They are firmly entrenched on the weird things train. I mean, again, it was... They didn't manage to pick up a round, right? But I think that last round in particular was ugly. I think Laggers, even if they're going to maintain this idea of running weird stuff, Laggers is making the right decision and not running the Amaru anymore. I think that they're just expecting it at this point in time. It hasn't come to fruition for 2 rounds. I don't necessarily think the Blackbeard is going to go particularly any better, right? Like he's been successfully nerfed out of the meta to the point where he's basically not anything like what he used to be. And I mean, I kind of stand by the idea, right? Nook is not the worst operator you could possibly have, but I mean, a very good sort of straightforward lineup coming here from Ottawa. They've got drone denial in spades. Sod there on the Mozzie can do some roaming as well. They've got a little bit of artillery, 3 C4s in the pocket, and of course you have Axe and Ackerman there on the cop gun as well. So a good combination actually to get a Capcom with that drone denial, Chief. You can really kind of mess somebody up if they're not playing very carefully, and I'm not sure that Purdue is, based on the fact that we saw somebody get hit by kind of what I would call one of the most basic frost mats in all of Rainbow Six Siege.
It does happen to the best of us, though, doesn't it? I mean, that frostbite has killed pro players all the way down to the lowest elo, you know, so like it works far too often, right? Like it should never work. I think that was the point that you're getting, but somehow it does. Anyways, though, hopefully no more frostmat casualties for Purdue. That operator's still in play, and secondary shotgun assigned. She's a strong operator to be had, and I think Mila actually is cursor bugged. This looks like the cursor bug movement.
They're looking for bugs, just probing the dirt, having a break. No, they're definitely trapped. There's no, that's a curse. I don't know. Yeah, it's a cursor bug curse. I'm not sure if we'll see that be fixed, I guess, in the next round there. By the way, a GM drone on the drone hole just goes to show you the intelligence getting messed up there a little bit. Meanwhile, Laggers is now on that Jackal, and that's a good swap there. Much more useful than the Blackbeard, but not if you get absolutely wasted by Ackerman looking out of a window at you. A good early kill there. Mila's had to leave the game, so that's one less body in this round as well. You're down to a 3v5 here in round number 4.
Ooh. Wow, the turnaround quickly for Hangman, being very sneaky on that Nook, taking control of the red corridor. And now uOttawa has lost some of their best defenders. Not Sod was in that. Xander's off the board as well. And now hopefully uOttawa can just pray to Lord Tachanka that the trap operators that they brought out, the Frost and the Capkin, can do work. Kiro goes down, and Providence is just on an absolute tear, heating up yesterday from their incredible 1v5 on Chalet, and they're applying that skill today, Corbeck, here in the NECC.
Providence there saving the day, because that looked real ugly, and then those 2 quick kills came in and it sort of reinvigorated the entire lineup. And then Providence, I mean, taking some very just kind of aggressive gunfights, the kind of gunfights where you're like, that really shouldn't work, you know, and you just walk around the corner and get the headshot. You think to yourself, no, there's no way that's going to work. But when you're a talented enough player who's able to really make that happen, I mean, you can do it. Looks like Purdue is saying that they don't want to pause. So I'm not sure exactly what the decision being made there is, but it's obviously causing some problems down the line. We won't focus too much on what's going on in the chat. We'll just keep it on the game, and Mila is back regardless, so it's a moot point after this round. Still a good opportunity here for Ottawa to try and pull one over quite quickly and keep going forward.
Back over to Plains and Games, we find ourselves Tristan, the bomb slant that has had turmoil between the 2 rosters. Purdue was able to take that back in round number 1, their first of their 2-round victories, and really the second showing of Plains and Games wasn't particularly brilliant from the side of Purdue. That was when we saw Laggers enter into the bomb site in the first, we'll call it 15 seconds of the round, and well, there's a Mossberg shotgun waiting for them, and they got shut down pretty quickly.
Shot pretty quickly. We won't be trying to pull that trick again here. No Amaru in the lineup. Hangman, though, playing on the window of Astro right there, just looking for a way in. Laggers is in a similar position, and it's interesting. They've not really applied split pressure. They just, you know, don't have the need to apply split pressure, I guess. At least that's their strategic calculus that they made. Axe and Ackerman needs to be careful, though. This is a dangerous place to be here, and the Warden will fall back here. Fortunately, there's some cover on the rotate there, so he won't be completely cut off. Riven, though, quite snug in the position that he's in. Behind a shield, he's got ADSs, he's got magnets. He can hold that for a while, assuming he's able to maintain sort of a gun skill diff, but a good run there from Laggers to get some intel.
Plenty of grenades on the side of Purdue. 3 sets, in fact, and Laggers just going to take the gunfight. Who cares about defending utility when your name is Laggers, the team captain? I mean, just eviscerates poor Riven, and Xander's not long for this world as well. Fast control for Purdue. They own 90, but they're going to find themselves once again in another mini-game, Tristan. That's going to be the deployable shield over in the classical hallway. Not Sod was in that position, but they've actually been recalled over to study to prioritize the breach that was just opened up by the ex-Cairo pellets.
Well, now it is becoming a little bit of a mental game, right? And Axon Ackerman there challenging with the quick peek. He's got the Nook on his sights, but he'll back right off. And now we see, again, Hangman, as we know, is capable of executing those kind of challenges. Good frag grenade and good follow-up there. Excellent reflexes. Kiro now left all alone, trying to defend behind the bar. It's only a matter of time, though. I don't think Kiro can quite pull this one out, even if they try their best. They've got one body coming towards him here around the corner at the elbow. Good headshot right there, but still a 3v1. Quick reload here for Kiro. Kiro pushing forward down the corridor, sees one at the top of the stairs, a couple of shots going wide, but the shield working against Kiro. The defenses turn and bite their master there for a second. Kiro now drifting back the opposite direction. Here's footsteps, just clicks the side of Providence. The flash grenade coming out, and that's it. Providence sealing the deal right there again, and two very, very good rounds here for Providence.
Wow, that was quite a round from Purdue as well as from Providence. I mean, that's the flexing that Purdue likes to bring, the flashy style of play, and we see that with that final kill, right? Tristan, there's a time where flashbangs were designed to, well, be projectile denials and kind of feed the ADSs and white pancakes. No more, my friend. They're actually now used to, surprise, flash things and flash people. And an unfortunate side for uOttawa, and Purdue puts themselves in a very comfortable position at the conclusion of round 5 there, my friend, because they guarantee themselves 3-3 to the half at minimum.
Yeah, they're doing all right here. I mean, it would be a good opportunity for Ottawa to try and rein in a third win. You want to kind of come out of a defensive half on Villa at least equal. But I mean, we go back and we look at kind of the random assortment of operators that Purdue Gold is bringing. I think this is probably more akin to a serious lineup. Well, I was going to say that, but they dropped the Sophia here in favor of the Doka base, so perhaps not as much. Not that she's particularly terrible, just that she's not, on your starting lineup, as it were. But when you've got Providence going 8-2, I mean, really just sort of dominating the entire lobby, the lead killer here for Purdue Gold. There are only limited options for Ottawa Garnet. I don't think that they're necessarily like losing because they're not putting up the right defense. I think their defensive setups have in general been pretty solid. They're just really struggling to win the gunfights, and fortunately it's a shooting game at the end of the day.
And again, everybody on the side of Purdue has really become household names in the collegiate ecosystem for their ability to shoot back. And I will say, Not Sod is incredible when it comes to the mechanical skill. I mean, there's a reason why they're currently the top frag of uOttawa. And Not Sod, as I mentioned a few times, is somebody that you need to most certainly respect in the server, because you just simply don't want to be on the bad end of their gun barrels. And, well, you don't really need gun barrels when you can kind of go with the new school meta, and that's just the whip grenades from below and hope they land.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but a very common sight these days in Siege, so not much to be done right there. Lagger's getting delayed just a little bit in Astro, but it's Providence again who's getting the kills, and Not Sod here trying to do their best work. Ooh, that was a bit risque there, turning your back to the open window, but he manages to make it back into some sort of cover. It's not done yet, though. Axon Ackerman coming up the Astro stairs gets one. Gushmini dropping into the bathroom here. Mila is on very low health as well, but Axon Ackerman is punished for their moment of passion right there. Now Not Sod just trying to cover the door, unfortunately flashed and killed by Mila, who goes for the swing, and that just leaves Xander here as the plant goes down. Xander, I don't know, he might pick up one, he does, but unfortunately the refrag immediately from Hangman, and yet another round going the way of Purdue.
It's just aggression from Purdue, simply put, and uOttawa just needs to be prepared for it. Honestly, I'd like to see more emphasis on the trap operators. I'd like to see the buddy system be implemented by uOttawa just to make sure that they're going for the trades. Now, to be fair, it is very difficult to trade out grenades from below, and that requires you simply to kind of roam underneath to prevent the nades, but you're also playing against Purdue, who is going to rush you if you're below. So it's really on uOttawa to identify which is the biggest bane that they're going to suffer against, and that opportunity cost, Tristan, is a difficult one, even as a collegiate coach. honestly, I don't know which is the right decision there. I'd probably lean towards the roam and try to hope that my rotation, my communication back would be enough to stop that hyper-aggressive rush that, well, Purdue Gold is kind of known for.
I mean, the thing is too, and as much as it is like a gun skill issue, I think that's something that's come up. It's also a psychological issue, right? Like, I'm not going to talk about what was said in the chat, but when you have a team that's running these kind of strange lineups at you and you begin to feel like you're not being taken seriously, that contributes to a mental state that's not particularly good. And I mean, this is not new. This has been a psychological factor from when human beings were throwing rocks and sticks at each other, right? Like the Celts used to run around naked because it intimidated their foes, because they were so unafraid of losing their lives they didn't need to wear armor. It's the same kind of concept, right? You're playing fast and loose and you channel that aggression, and I think the end result is that Ottawa Garnet looks a little shell-shocked. And I think that last round was a perfect illustration of that. Sod just kind of can't really get too aggressive, and you're losing team members left, right, and center. There's not much of a trade game, and everybody's getting really wary of what's happening. It's really difficult to recover from that just mentally. It's hard, and if I was in their position right now, I'd be frustrated and not playing my best.
Smitty's aggressive stance, he actually is going to have to be very careful here because there's so many members of uOttawa with multiple gun barrels around that door frame that if he doesn't fall back quickly, he could be shut down. And I find some irony that Laggers is bringing out the Caveira. They've been the byproduct of a Caveira interrogation multiple times against members of Alabama Huntsville. So I guess Laggers was trying to get some revenge on another collegiate team that has completely exploited Purdue in the past. But with that being said, uOttawa's control of the north side of the map is actually quite efficient right now. I love the fact that they're using Cairo pellets to create new lines of sight into deer, but they're going to also have to move those entries just a bit faster to start to knock on the threshold of 90 soon.
Yeah, the only problem is it is taking time, kind of like you implied right there, right? You've got about a minute 30 left. It's time you can build something up. Not Sod there securing an early kill on Mila. That's not bad, right? Kind of take one gun down. Now you have a slight advantage. Got to watch out, though. I mean, there's still guns available. Providence demonstrating that in fine form, taking out Alex Ackerman. But Xander with the trade. That's good play there from Ottawa, trying to keep in there. So unfortunately, here comes Laggers. They didn't account for this. Laggers going in for the interrogation, and that might just about do it here. That information dump is so successful, and he gets not Sod as well. Escapes with the sliver of health left.
Oh, and Goose Smitty with the built-in wall hacks of that interrogation, making it everybody on the, known with the wall hacks, and not a good position to be in. And Providence, once again, with the ability to see through walls with that interrogation. They know that somebody is baiting on the roof. Man, uOttawa is going to have to overcome a lot. The diffuser's isolated, and you have multiple members of the Purdue Gold very eager for this kill. And I respect the flashbangs going out, but Purdue is actually keeping their distance.
Yeah, I've been in this position before. Not necessarily in a competitive game of collegiate siege, but I feel like everybody's been in a spot where they're the last man standing, right? And you just want to get a kill. And you do. Nice job, Kiro. Absolutely wipes Laggers out right there. Laggers could have gotten knocked over by a stiff breeze, so it only took one bullet. Hangman going for the challenge there. Doesn't kill Kiro. Unfortunately, Goose Schmitty is watching from another angle, and they're killed by the pole that they left with their own X-Kairos pellets, alas.
See, I have a love-hate relationship with opening up 90. Because I will say with certainty, you should never make it a rotation unless you can guarantee that you can hold that position throughout the duration of the round. Because if you rotate over to vault or the vault door itself and you leave 90 unchallenged, well, the defenders could just rotate through your own hole and go for an easier flank with more cover. So that 2x3 configuration I'm much more comfortable with, Corbeck, but the thing is, you also have to guarantee that you can still hold that position and not expose yourself by pushing deeper into classical hallway.
No, you're exactly right. It has to be watched. I mean, you have to keep an eye on it. If you have an air jab there, I don't know what, right? There's just something, obviously that's not an option in this match, but you get the idea of what I'm talking about. It needs to be protected. You can't just leave it and hope that they're not going to take advantage of it, which is exactly what happened right there. But we are over to Trophy Statuary. Goyo, by the way, being brought out here by Providence. Keep in mind, Goyo has been reworked. For those of you who didn't necessarily know, he doesn't have shields anymore. He has sort of big gas explosion canister things that he puts on walls, and when you shoot them, they blow up and put fire in lots of places. I think that's one of them what we're looking at right there. He's actually not bad, Chief. He's not bad for taking away space. He's almost a little bit better than Smoke. He just doesn't have the option of throwing him out in terms of the actual time that he can delay an attack.
Honestly, I think that he would probably be one of the most broken operators if he had impact grenades, be able to kind of like detonate them at range, if you will. Disrespectful first kill with the ACS-12. I will say, it's actually a pretty solid gun. It can two-shot consistently. And especially if you're a 2-2, so 2 armor, 2 speed, like not Sod in that scenario, it just rips you apart in 3 shots. With Mila being so good on their accuracy, I mean, it's just a formidable weapon. Sometimes it gets a little bit cumbersome when it starts to get out of hand and starts to become, I guess, that slow recoil control, or not slow recoil, but the slow rate of fire with that slug shotgun. But Milo is perfect with it.
It's unfortunate that the person who went right down right there was Sod. They were both the Finka, obviously a very valuable operator in this day and age with the frag grenades, and also, of course, the top fragger for the team. So a big loss right there on someone who's get killed by that like cheeky little run out that we saw at the start. Hangman here holding up on the door of Master as it looks like a rush might be attempted here. Xander's in the position to open the window. Here they go. Flores leading in. The entire line of them jumps through, and it's just gunfire from all directions here. Axe and Ackerman gets one back on the other side, but Hangman brings them all down. That just leaves Xander. Xander nearly makes a mistake right there, but is able to reconfirm the kill and get the reload. That still leaves 3 members, though, of Purdue up and alive, and Xander could get hit from multiple angles at once, and he is. It's Laggers who finishes him off.
I wonder if this rush was called because of the death of Not Sod early on, putting themselves at that large disadvantage. I mean, I say large, but it was a single-man disadvantage, but it's Purdue who's kind of fanned out their defense, and why not try to exploit the absolute map roam that Purdue was bringing? I admire uOttawa for attempting to do so, but did you see how quickly Purdue collapsed back on the bomb site, as well as the on-site anchors kind of realizing that, hey, I think there's a rush taking place, and see, I've had this love-hate relationship as well with Gone 6's going on green barricades, because if I hear that as a defender, I'm just going to assume I'm going to be rushed.
Yeah, I mean, you're completely correct, Brian. Like, what else is it going to be? Like, you know, nobody's going to waste a Gone 6 on a green barricade with no purpose, right? Or nobody at this level of play. Let me rephrase that. Nobody at this level of play is going to waste one for no purpose. Maybe in your unranked game or your quick play or whatever, yeah, somebody will do it just for funsies. But in this scenario, the only thing that pops into your mind is rush, and it was a really good reaction. And I mean, let's be honest, like the Purdue Gold squad, they're a very good team. You mentioned it, right? They're not going to be taken advantage of by something like that, as much as you might want it to manifest. I mean, it had every kind of like vibe of just sort of we're running out of ideas. Let's just throw whatever we can in there and see if something sticks. And especially when you're a team that's been struggling to challenge on the gun skill front, I mean, that didn't do you any favors, right? You just kind of created your own kill zone. Axe and Ackerman there coming in on the Montaigne, by the way. Didn't mention it yet, but it's an interesting choice indeed. Not sure how much value they'll really be able to get out of it, but they'll try again. Doesn't look like any sneaky kills are going to come this time, though. There was a little bit of an attempt there, I think, by the Caviera, but they're run off to the basement now, so nothing more to worry about.
I'm concerned about that CQC shotgun that was brought out by Goose Smitty. We saw in the other day that a member of the St. Clair team was able to go nuclear with that shotgun. A little bit odd, and oh no, Not Sod is the opening death again. They weren't droned in Laggers. They don't get the interrogation, but they find that kill. Again, Not Sod, one of the best fraggers in the game, off the board, and this is going to put a lot of burden on uOttawa. Sure, they had the Monty in play, but they have completely been choked up, and wow, this is an aggressive res, but with the Monty, I guess that's going to allow you to get away with that. Where are the explosive devices? It doesn't matter. uOttawa has full control of the bomb site. The plant's going down, and I don't think the decision to bring out the shotgun was particularly wise. The members of Purdue, they're pretty much far away from each other, and Mila's clutch is going to be practically impossible. Now Goose Smitty, DB, and Node able to res themselves, but they get shut down, and what a beautiful attack from uOttawa. An excellent rush.
It was actually a really good attack from uOttawa. They did really well, and the Montaigne actually worked really effectively. It drew a ton of attention and a ton of fire. It was like hanging a red cape in front of a bull right there, I think, as far as Purdue Gold's defense was concerned. And a very good round from Ottawa to overcome the loss of not Sod early on, right? Sod is the ace. He's your ringer. He's a guy who's supposed to be in there doing great work. He got popped immediately, and Ottawa bounced back and played a very formidable round.
Again, uOttawa is a team that deserves to be respected. And if you give Ottawa rounds like that, where they're able to overcome the opening death that the outside suffered, honestly, it's going to be quite a storyline for uOttawa. They're moving in the right direction. And actually, I want to draw your attention over to the uOttawa scoreboard. Look at how even they are. 4 players on 6 kills. That demonstrates to me that the uOttawa potential to collect heads is very high, and if Purdue makes a mistake like they did back on their kitchen defense, it might be something to allow uOttawa to pave their way to overtime.
It very well might be, but I mean, look, we're facing 3 rounds that you have to catch up here, and I mean, that was a good, it was a good attacking round, the last one, but you're going to need a lot more good attacking rounds to come through here. So I don't know. I'm not gonna hold out too much hope, but you never know. Stranger things have happened at sea. Anyway, here comes the attack again. No Montaigne Lion in the lineup this time. You also have not Sod on the Jackal. Laggers is in a position, I think, where they could be annoying if they choose to, but no, they're just going to remain quiet. This actually has similar vibes to what we saw from them a couple of rounds ago, where they just sort of waited in one place for a really long time until the opportunity to strike manifested itself. Not Sod here, pushing up through master bedroom, does have the scanners on, looking for something, doesn't find it, as Gushmani slowly crawling back towards master bedroom. Mila is here as well, so a little bit of a defensive setup, Chief, but nothing to write home about just yet. Brief exchange of gunfire early on.
Mila was hiding in the bathtub earlier, and they were droned out. That's why we see them pressure deeper into Astor, not Sod on the solo entry. With the lack of information, they're unable to win the gunfight, allowing Gushmani as well as his comrade in crime, Mila, to continue to hold this north side of the map. And I think Providence might want a piece of this action. They're going to continue to try to hold this as well. And Laggers is up the Astro stairs. So everybody from Purdue has completely migrated their bomb site on over. Diffuser is now isolated, and uOttawa is just being turned into the meat grinder. They're falling one by one, and even the Lion scan isn't quite enough to dig them out of the hole. It's now Ackerman and Xander, both on the other side of the map, far away from the diffuser.
Yeah, it does look like this might be curtains for Ottawa here, at least as far as Villa is concerned. Xander there rolling out the frag grenade, just trying to see if he can pick up anything, but he can't. Axerman there having to play a very long sightline, has no idea. I think that Hangman is waiting for him right around the corner. I mean, how would they at this stage? Providence does take a couple of hits right there, but again, it's nothing to write home about. Here comes Ackerman. Hangman swings the door, misses the shot, and unfortunately gives away his position, so he'll drop down and reposition, grabs a Grisma on the way so he can redeploy it there for a second. Ackerman just firing randomly into walls, hoping for something. Xander narrowly avoids getting lit up right there as he peeks his head back over the entryway to Trophy. And well, this is where we'll sit, at least for now, in a bit of a stalemate.
Again, the two members of the uOttawa attack far away from each other. The Grismont mine detonates in Ackerman's face, and that's going to be the call to action in his Providence, as well as Hangman swing onto that kill. Xander has left their post in DeBoer, attempting to find the diffuser, and with so little time left, they're going to have to start to move fast. The alt walk might be enough to confirm that this series is going to map number 2 in 17 seconds. It's going to be Bang. Mila's position, not yet droned out, because you're not going to have time to drone out. And look at the hunting pack. Everybody from Purdue knows that the Xander is near this position. They're starting to be eaten alive, though, by Xander. No secondary weapon since it's the Gone 6, and they're just dropping like flies. But finally, Gushmani is going to put a stop to those shenanigans. And it's going to be Purdue moving on to map number 2 with a victory underneath their belt.
Indeed. 7-3 there. A very good round there for Purdue. University of Ottawa there giving a good half, so that's good, and things have settled a little bit there on that front. But again, I mean, you got to give a little bit of credit to the University of Ottawa. They put up some of a fight. It wasn't entirely a walkover, but at the end of the day, we were talking about it, right? The gun skill matters. Kind of the inability, I think, necessarily to kind of counteract the aggression that was being shown to us there by Purdue is probably the biggest failing on the Ottawa side, and has really just given. I mean, Purdue looks incredibly confident, right? They're just driving forward with a ridiculous amount of confidence, and nothing has really happened, I think, to particularly change that narrative in their mind.
And that's going to be the next storyline for uOttawa. They're going to have to apply a break somehow to Purdue. And honestly, Tristan, this is an opportunity during the 5-minute break between maps for uOttawa to talk amongst themselves, deliberate on what was going wrong, and prepare for their own map choice of Bank, my friend. We're going to see Bank in a matter of moments, in 5 minutes. In fact, so ladies and gentlemen, please do not go anywhere. Keep this Twitch tab open. I promise you want to see Bank.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the NECC here. It's a Rainbow Six Siege on a Wednesday night here on Stream B, and an exciting game between the University of Ottawa and the University of Purdue. I'm Corbeck. Alongside me is Chief. Purdue going 7-3 on our first map, Villa, but now a real treat for us here, Brian. We get to go to Bank.
And if you know anything about me, Tristan, I adore Bank. I am 110% biased in this map, but it is 100% my favorite comp map. I enjoy just look at the smile on my face talking about Bank. And let me give you the rundown of why I adore this map. It is probably the hardest map to play right on the attacking side. It requires you to have a well-structured IGL who understands how to roam clear, drone efficiently, articulate the changes in the round due to a roamer or odd reinforcements, odd mini games, and it really forces you to adapt mid-round. And to compare and contrast, a map like Coastline, you don't really have that level of adaptation. You can kind of just run at the defenders and click heads. On Bank, you do not have that luxury. You have to play well as a team. And that being said, I think we're going to probably lean more towards the Coastline style of Bank, where it's just going to be head clicking.
I think that's a fair enough estimate there for us, is that it's going to be a more head-clicky map just based on how Villa was, but I'm glad that you find technical beauty here in Bank as a map. I don't necessarily like it that much, but sure, everyone's entitled to their opinions, or so I've been told. We start off with the ban phase here. Purdue Gold on the defense. Purdue Gold would ban Thatcher. No big surprises there. We'll see what Ottawa has in the tank. But yeah, just, you know, based on the aggression that we saw coming out of Purdue, I imagine there's going to be like a lot of, you know, being all over the place, rat plays, being annoying. You know, Ottawa's going to ban Hibana here. So fair enough. Not a bad choice on Bank, all things considered. We'll see if anything else particularly interesting comes out of that this ban phase, but I doubt it, Chief. It's all going to be pretty standard stuff. And the Mira pick, that doesn't change my opinion.
And I will say, I always lean towards removing one of the hard breachers. Personally, I tend to gravitate more towards Maverick. Actually, an operator that Purdue was banning in yesterday's series, but Hibana is the queen of hatches, and with so many hatches being irrelevant, especially to that basement defense, as well as the ability to open up accurately the Canto wall, which is the topmost floor wall near the elevators. When an attacking team has that wall reinforced against them, you can guarantee pinpoint accuracy with your opponent charges your X-Cairo pellets to get a perfect upside down line of sight where you see the defender's feet, but they can't see you.
That's a very good example, right, of how useful she is. And of course, you mentioned the top hatches as well, something that she, you know, excels at, right? And certainly looking at this particular point, the top hatch play is incredibly critical. Interestingly, Valkyrie was left on the board here by this ban phase, will not be brought out. You also do not see a Kaid in play, which is another operator that I feel like we occasionally see here on Bank for defending those hatches, but obviously not something they're particularly worried about. Kiro here making the swap over to, I believe, Thermite off of Amaru. Xander here on the Maverick as well. Of course, that attacker repick during prep phase, that's a new addition to the game that they're working with. A controversial addition, perhaps I should say, Brian, but an addition nonetheless. And I think we're seeing the shape of a very aggro defense here from Purdue. That's what a Vigil and an Ella, a Jaeger, a Thunderbird, that's what all of those operators are telling me.
Well, we're going to kind of see why attacker repick is more or less balanced. I was actually about to say that, but Goosemity reinforced these hatches. So usually when 6-pick was a thing, if you saw Cade, it was a pretty good indication that it's going to be a more anchor-style defense. If you saw Cade absent the defending lineup, well, you could expect more of a stronger roam with those hatches open and the defenders kind of falling back in stages. It is a full roam from Purdue, but it's going to be one with those hatches reinforced, and the lack of Cade can be quite concerning. It's going to give uOttawa some flexibility to be able to deal with both the roam kind of efficiently with the clear, especially a Jackal on the board, and then be able to open up those hatches for free. And we're going to see enough utility to be able to do so with a Maverick, the pocket Thermite charges of 0, as well as the Thermite.
Fortunately, my stream is suffering a little bit and has now gone gray. It got too slow and too old right there, Chief. So we don't necessarily know what's happening right now, and we'll catch back up with a brief flash here of Goosemity. only for a second, and I hear a metal detector going off as well, and there's Kiro as well who came running through. So there we go. Things are happening there on Bank. We don't necessarily know what.
The gray livery that we just got there for the full screen is kind of a nice homage, if you will, to the map of Bank, because it's a very white and gray color tone. So I guess it's an appropriate time, if there ever is one, to have it. But let's be real, we actually wanted to see what on earth Purdue was going to be doing on that roam, and we saw that the roam was taking place. We saw that Jackal was being brought out to at least try to mitigate some of that roam, and sadly, we're going to have to find out, I guess, after the fact whether or not it was successful.
We are unfortunately going to have to find out after the fact. Livery, by the way, that's a good word. That's a good wordly wise word. Write that down, kids. I don't know if you have wordly wise in other states, but it's like a vocabulary thing. Anyway, I digress. We don't get a lot of it, right? We don't really understand necessarily what's going on, but it does confine, I think, to our expectations of what we thought we were going to see, right? A very aggro defense coming out of Purdue, some steps to try and counteract that a little bit coming out of Ottawa, and we won't quite know the end result of that kind of 10-on-10 until we get back in the game. But again, it's you made a really interesting point there while we are looking at the early stages of Bank and how important attacker repick is, and how just looking at the operator selection for defenders when they're set, right? The lack of a Kaid immediately applies something different. And I think this is one of the reasons why attacker repick in the prec phase is such a useful tool for just an adaptation purpose. It's also probably why it's relatively controversial, I guess.
And I'm completely split on it, because let's go back to the example I was giving, right? If you're roaming with a Vigil and another hard roamer, maybe like a Mozzie, and you don't have Cade in your lineup, well, one of those operators can be 6-picked away from, but only one of them. So the attackers have a pretty good understanding that it's going to be a full roam versus a full anchor. And where I have a problem with attacker repick is, let's say you're attacking on a clubhouse, for example, right? You have to be very meticulous with your attacker hard breaches, right? You have to bring Habana if she's left unbanned downstairs, and a lot of teams like to flex onto the ace on the upstairs bomb sites. Well, with attacker repick, you can always have the correct hard breaching lineup, and one of the things I love about Rainbow Six is the ability for IGLs to overcome problems, and, well, the attacker repick is kind of not really overcoming the problems, at least the way that I want to, right? It forces the attackers, if you have the wrong operator lineup, for example, it forces the attackers to overcome those odds and work together as a team. Again, it's a completely double-edged sword, because 6-pick, as we mentioned earlier, can go one direction, attacker repick can go the other direction, and honestly, the TLDR is we just don't know until more pro players can play it.
That's genuinely where we at. I'm not super against it. I think it's an interesting dynamic to add to the game, but I think your points that you make there are quite valid, all things considered. Let's take a look here at Purdue's defense. They've chosen to go down to kind of staff cafeteria. They're bringing out an Alibi here. They've got an Ella and a Frost. I mean, again, it's a very aggressive setup. Interesting there that they're putting post Frost mats up there in stock. That's something that I don't necessarily know about, but sure, why not? Go for it. Sometimes you will catch somebody on that, somebody being a little bit foolish. On the side of Ottawa, I mean, they're running what I would consider to be a fairly standard lineup for this. Probably going to look to try and gain pretty aggressive vertical control here. I'm assuming that's something that they're at least thinking about there with Xander on the sledge, but we'll just have to see how it develops here. They've got to be careful about this.
And vertical is so difficult to achieve on this particular bomb site compared to the other first floor site, because you can't really establish a lot of vertical. The only part that you have is stock trading, and while a lot of defending teams elect to roam into the archives portion of that first floor, sometimes it's just difficult to pin them on down. Now, if you have laggers springing out from the white-blue stairs, that's easy to get a free pick though.
It is, yeah, and Providence has made these holes specifically to try and hold out towards maybe Archive's side. It's not really turned into anything yet, but they're sort of repositioning their defense right now and kind of moving down. I mean, Gushmini even opening a hatch right there to just sort of be a nuisance. The vertical control does look like it's been taken by Ottawa, at least parts of it, but they're still not in a particularly great position to really challenge this. I think that's what we're about to see here, is Kiro maybe moving in a position to do so, but that hatch is being covered by Hangman.
Diffuser dropped, but it's with so many members of uOttawa near on by that they should be able to pick that up with relative ease. And oh no, I think we're back to the gray screen once again. So you're probably gonna be seeing our beautiful faces on camera momentarily. And well, we missed the outcome of round number 1. Again, that was that Purdue defensive win downstairs in the basement, and we might be able to see another defending win for Purdue. Lord Tachank will be the only one to know, though.
Lord Tachank. Yeah, he might. He might. I'll tell you something about Tachankas after this, by the way, Chief, if you know where that comes from, but it's not needed on broadcast at the moment. I will say I think that was looking to be a decent enough attack that was coming out there from the University of Ottawa, but we've seen decent enough attacks coming out from them before, and Purdue has a lot of answers. I think the biggest problem that I saw there and what we kind of got to look at as the slideshow progressed was just that University of Ottawa had not done enough to control area. Right? Like we saw the members of the defensive side, Purdue had a lot of room, right, to move. And I don't think they were on camera. I don't think anybody was following the movements of those operators that we saw running around there, coming in through library, kind of repositioning themselves. I don't think there was any tracking on that at all. And the problem is that just leaves dangerous people unmarked, right? And at any given time, we just don't know when Frost is going to pop out of the archives window, for example, and gun you down as you try to make something work. And sure enough, Purdue Gold will pick up the win right there.
I gotta know, because I was thinking about this earlier. What on earth is your background? It kind of looks like the Lonely Mountain meets Lake Town, Esgaroth in the background, like with the beautiful pencil drawing.
It is a sketch by the national artist of Ukraine.
Oh, interesting.
I believe is the national artist of Ukraine. But yeah, it's a sketch of, I believe, the Carpathians, which are the mountains in the west of Ukraine. So that is what it is.
Learn something every day. I love those pencil painting. Drawings.
Yeah,
is it a painting beautiful. Or is it a pencil?
No, it's pencil. I think it's line and ink or whatever. I don't know the exact term, but anyway, we are back to bank, and it does look like Purdue has managed to secure themselves another win here. They will move up to the executive office defense now. This is a site that I really dislike, Chief. I don't like this site at all. I find it very difficult to play, but if you are a coordinated team, and if you're a team that's of the caliber here of the University, or Purdue, I should say, you're probably going to have a lot easier time defending this than my average unranked stack is. So I'm curious to see how they go about this. Flores being brought out here by the attackers, by the way, going to be good for a little bit of util clear, but Riven takes an early chunk of damage there from a peek.
Pardon me, I can't drink water apparently. You'd think a normal basic human function would be, something that I'd be able to successfully do. So we get back to you one second.
Oh, you're good. I mean, we're casters. I don't know that we necessarily fall into the category of normal basic humans. And I don't mean that as something to brag about either. Mila here trying to challenge on the window, playing a little game of hide and go seek, just jumps out and guns down Not Sod. And that's not going to help the mental at all right there. He's found prone on his back and just gets absolutely annihilated. Unfortunately, it looks like the feed is sort of chopping up again. Not a lot we can really do about it here in the broadcast booth, or the casting booth, I should say. Xander now popping the frags. Could actually get a kill off of that depending on where it lands, and sure enough he does. Mila is killed, so a little bit of revenge for Not Sod right there, and immediately forced to challenge Xander with a really good kill on a Providence as well.
I was about to say, if you're Providence, you'd be very careful challenging around that reinforced wall, because another grenade might be able to find you, but it's actually the gun barrel to do so. And Purdue, for the first real time here on Bank, is going to put themselves with a man disadvantage. And I love the diligence that uOttawa is doing right now. Tristan, look, they're still droning. They realize that they're up a man, and they're just continuously doing their homework to make sure that they continue to pressure the members of Purdue and gather the information. Unfortunately, though, Laggers was not quite tied down by the drones, and they're going to take their aggressive stance over by the presidential office.
They are indeed. Xander here checking down towards the kind of closet there, waiting to see if anybody walks in. Now he's moving around. He does have another Gemini here in the pocket if they choose to use it, but he's just going to soft peek a couple of angles really quick and try and derive a little bit of information. It's not a bad cross angle to cover right there. Riven now moving into stock behind him, but it's Goose Smitty. Lights him up. Xander gets a third kill on the round, though. Good trade back on the Goose Smitty. Keeps it at a 2v2. Hangman here backed up in the corner of the executive office, and I have yet to really see where Axon Ackerman is to push back in on this, but Laggers is playing a little bit off the site, and Axon Ackerman needs to get into a position where they can support Xander in this.
Ackerman was on the north window repel, and now they're going to be playing that buddy system that we talked about back on Villa, something that was absent in both the defense and attack of uOttawa. With them now linking up, they have the ability to go for perfect trades. You have to make sure that their gun barrels are able to do so. On the side of Purdue, they are quite spread out. Xander's 3K has been silenced just a bit. DB node in the door frame. Potential for Ackerman to go for the res, but Purdue smells blood in the waters, and the pre-fires in through the soft walls is going to be enough to shut down uOttawa. A very brilliant attempt, though, Tristan. They were almost able to secure it, especially after finding the trades and not sod.
It was a very solid attempt from Ottawa. And again, I think it kind of reinforces, and I think we should reinforce this ourselves here. It's not that Ottawa Garnet is a particularly bad team, right? Like, they are not a bad team. I think they are a quality squad. It's just that Purdue Gold is that good, right? Like, this is a very, very strong team, like you were saying, on Villa, top 3 in the nation. And I think you saw an example of that in that last round. Laggers staged an excellent sort of fallback defense. It was prepared for. They had a reinforcement down where they needed a reinforcement to really enable him to kind of fight out of an almost bunker-like position and turn that round around. And the harsh truth, I think, too, of this Purdue Gold squad is in that situation, it was laggers, but I think pretty much any of them are capable of being put in a position like that and playing a similarly effective game on the defense, which really makes things hard for Ottawa.
I will say, going back to our conversation about the attacker repick, one of the things that I have concerns with is when you go for a bomb site far out of your rotation. Again, round number 1 was the base, but uOttawa is not stuck with their attacking lineup. They can just switch to whatever attacking lineup helps them break down the site. For example, you can now bring out the sledge to go for a vertical, and a sledge most of the time would be absent in a proper basement defense. So the edge that Purdue once had going to an atypical bomb site in the rotation, the quaternary bomb site, it's going to be less impactful. With that being said, though, there is Namaru in play, so I don't know if I could completely condone that one, though.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Ackerman has not been having the easiest of times either. And I mean, let's be honest, the gun skill from the members of Purdue has been legit the entire time. Laggers smells a potential target here. Going to go ahead and challenge the hole that's been made there in the windows of stock. He sees something, he shoots. It was a drone that time, but he'll quickly vacate the premises. Riven now trying to set up a drone as well. Just give him a little bit of an information advantage. Xander lucky, actually, that Laggers isn't there to take his head off as he challenges that angle. Kiro now laying prone, throws the drone in as well. We did see a defender, or I should say an attacker, get taken out in a very similar position last round, so you got to be a little bit careful about how you want to go around this. Kiro just following through on the drone out, spots the Ella. It's a good soft ping there as well, so I don't think that they're necessarily aware that they've been caught on camera. And again, just trying to establish that vertical control, very similar to what we saw from earlier rounds. Laggers there considering the long range shot down the front of the bank, but he will pull off before he makes the attempt.
Vertical goes both ways, my friend. Oof. And Purdue's establishing their own vertical into CEO, and that's just going to prevent uOttawa from getting particularly aggressive and going in from a swing from the north side. Laggers finds the first kill, and again, not sought, a very powerful member of the uOttawa roster, has been certainly suffering on the opening death side here on Bank. The choice of uOttawa, an aggressive push in from Xander, that's shut down, and right now uOttawa, my friend, they're just pushing as individuals, and that's never going to work against Purdue. You have to play as a team. You have to fight for trades, and if you're just singly pushing in through a pre-made rotation, 99% of the time, you're just not going to win those gunfights because it's going to be monitored, and Ackerman, the last one alive in that 1v4, would be unable to find additional impact.
I mean, you're exactly right. Like, you hit the nail on the chief right there, or the head chief, sorry. You're hit the nail on the chief as well. It's not particularly good. Don't do that. It's where we wear safety equipment. But no, you got it on point. I mean, it's just the only way that you're going to be able to overcome Purdue Gold, right, is by playing as an organized team, by setting up trades, by setting up crossfires, by trying to force Purdue into positions that are unfavorable to them, and just sort of filtering in one by one like you're in an action movie, fighting providing the star, that's just, that's not going to work. It's just not going to work. And it was clearly demonstrated right there. I do feel a bit bad, I think, for Sod, who we know is a very good player, right? Not Sod is a very solid player. We talked about him at the beginning of the podcast. I think it's been a very frustrating bank so far for them, and justifiably so. It's not really gone their way, but I do also think they're the kind of player that any given round, really, they could come swinging back into this. So that's something to think about right there. Did Gooseman just destroy their own alibi? They had one up on the window.
Oh, they're proning. Yes, they did.
Yeah, oopsie. That's a good alibi placement, but it won't be any use right here as Providence there just having some fun making smiley faces in the wall. Creative expression is important, Brian, even in video games, especially in video games.
That's all video games is, isn't it? It's always that extra bit of creative expression. Now, I'm actually pulling up the statistics of Purdue over the course of this academic semester, and, well, we're going to have to talk about that quickly. Laggers gets eviscerated. So this is where Purdue stands. This is not including NECC, by the way. They have won 43 series and have lost 11 series in their academic year so far. That is one of the highest out of any of the high-rated collegiate rosters, any of the top 25 collegiate rosters, and Purdue is probably sitting about top 5 easy right now. And they have put on a dominant performance in most of their matchups, and today, Tristan, that storyline is coming back. But there is one wrinkle. They've only played Bank once, and they lost it to Converse back on October 27th.
Well, I am not going to, I'm not the judge, jury, and executioner here, but I do think that we could probably pass the sentence that statistic is going to change in the very near future. Xander here checking. Looks, I think he just missed narrowly seeing movement coming up at the top of blue stairs right there. Instead, he's going to go ahead and smash something open with a hammer. Nope, still unaware that there's a defender in the general area. And Providence went for the C4 right there instead of just swinging the door, and gives away his position and will not secure the kill. Hangman here holding on the site with the potential to drop down through the hatch as needed. But now Kiro doing a little bit of droning. I mean, we'll give credit to Ottawa. They've been relatively solid about their intel collection. And it does look like they've secured top floor here as well, so they can start opening things up to try and put a little bit of pressure down low, but nobody there to catch quite yet.
The trades for Purdue, always in the top end, but there we go. Mila's dead. Excellent. That's going to allow uOttawa control of that top floor, but we've had this talking point once before, my friend. Vertical control is not always exactly what you want here in the staff open bomb site, because the vertical doesn't actually give you all that much. To be fair, though, with the death of the sledgehammer and the lack of flat plays breaching charges, there's not a lot that uOttawa is going to gain from that vertical unless you start to expend some very precious bits of exothermic charges. But 1 out of 2 have now been used on the quad wall, and bad positioning there is going to allow Gooseman to potentially add 1, and a secondary follow-up does not take place at all, and still Purdue the man advantage.
Well, Axel Ackerman, the man in motion here, fires off the Gon 6, which gives away his position, immediately walks into the Grismot mine, which stuns him. Now he's just lighting up with the LMG right there, trying to put down squad supporting fire, gets 1. Gotta be very careful. The other defender is right here. 3 seconds left on the board. Is it going to be a challenge here from the usual confident Purdue defender? No, it is not. And that will be the end of the round right there, and a very, very successful series of defensive matches here from the members of Purdue.
Man, Purdue is just playing lights out right now. And I love their bomb site rotation to the 2 middle floors. Round number 4 was over in archives. Then we go to staff open. And now the bomb site is up in the air. uOttawa is going to have to kind of lucky guess. Are we going downstairs to the basement? Are we going CEO? And it's currently being shown as basement. But again, with the lack of 6-pick, you just really don't know until your drones actually identify where that position is.
Indeed. We're back up to executive office here as holes are being blown through things, and now we're running a joint marathon across the map and setting up basement defenses. Cool. Providence there, reinforcing a critical structural wall, which is important. It's Los Angeles. I'm pretty sure that's where this map is, Chief, so you got to be earthquake prepared. So he's down there making sure that things are safe in a rare California basement as well. We don't have a lot of those out here.
That is actually true. We don't have it, but I think most vaults, like for banks, are in the ground, right?
My bank robbing days are long behind me, so I've kind of, I've tried to put it back in my memory.
Well, I'm not a bankologist. I'll put it that way. So, I haven't got a master's degree in banking.
Just a master's degree in life. High school diploma from the streets. Right there is what we've got here. But a 5v5, unfortunately, the stream is suffering again from a little bit of delay. We do apologize that, but we'll try and understand the series of pictures that is flashing across our screen at high speed as best we can. Interpret
we
them,
changed bomb sites?
I say it. No. We're still executive. They just went down to the bottom floor and put reinforcements down.
Oh, so they're faking the site. I wonder if this is going to work.
I don't think Notsod is fooled. he's
not
here,
at all.
So,
to be fair, one of the best things to do is actually go into Armory, not Armory Archives, and fake the archives. No, Notsod's basically pushing in. He knows all too well that it is an upstairs site. In fact, he actually might be able to find a few kills pushing in through the rotations. He does find one, but he's traded by Hangman, and as there is still more death and suffering on the side of Purdue, they've recalled all of their fake roamers. They're now all turning into anchors, and you're really going to have to rely on Providence go nuclear. A 1v5 yesterday against Kettering on Chalet, so I wouldn't count them out for being one of the most impactful clutch players in the collegiate ecosystem.
Oh, most certainly. And I could very easily do that again here as Axon Ackerman unleashes a deeply pent-up hatred of walls right there, blowing some holes in that one in particular. Xander now rotating around the other side. Riven contributing their fire. He also dislikes walls, doesn't want the wall to forget it. Xander now in the stock position here with the crossfire angle. But again, all the members of Purdue have kind of moved themselves in positions where they're not so vulnerable. Hangman here is actually going to try and challenge. Throws the shield down as well. Just boost that defense a little bit. Protect from all that gunfire that's raining through and currently raining over his head. Providence, though, trying to be a sneaky snake there on the conference table and set something up. About a minute left on the clock here, so both of these teams still have some time to play with. Out comes the frag grenade over the top. No victim there, though. Xander on the swing. Xander tries to secure the kill and does. Providence is down. There will be no clutch on this map. The long-range attempt there from Hangman doesn't confirm the kill. So Hangman now in a dangerous position has been spot out. Shoots the couch a couple of times, but it's Riven who secures the kill on the backside, and that is a round finally on the attack here for Ottawa.
And there we go. Took them 6 attempts to be able to do so, Tristan, but it finally happens. A 5-1 attacking half is not the position that you want to be in. Again, we don't have a large statistic pool of this map, but if we go into professional play, this map is actually attacker-sided, just by a small margin, but it is attacker-sided. So a slightly dismal showing from uOttawa. This is their map choice, and what I'm really hoping is that they're going to bring out a very strong defending half, and something that's actually absent right now from the uOttawa defense is, once again, no Cade. Not brought out by Purdue, and now uOttawa not bringing out that defender.
You're right. Cade has been a non-factor here for both teams, which is interesting. I mean, considering, again, the basement bomb site does benefit from Cade, but we didn't see we didn't see Purdue Gold really go down here very much. I think they only played one round of bomb, or one round of basement, so perhaps not surprising we didn't see the Cade come out. And same, I guess, could be said here of the Ottawa side. Again, we have sort of a slapdash composition coming out from Purdue. You've got a Montaigne and Osa. Laggers is switching over to the Nook here off the Blackbird, or at least considering that swap. The defensive side, though, a little bit more reasonable. Double projectile denial, which they probably will need to make use of, and an Aruni there to complement as well. So a lot of projectile denial being featured here on the side of the Ottawa defense.
I've seen this before from Purdue. They're just going to take in through Dirt Tunnel with Mila on the giant Monty shield. And this is actually a very viable strategy because it allows you to not only waste the smoke toxic gas grenades early on, but it forces the defenders away. You're going to have to decide, do you play around this deployable shield or do you hightail it out of there? And the smoke has done more dividends than just wasting time. It's allowed uOttawa to completely rotate multiple defenders to try to contest the hyperlinear push.
Well, Mila here just going to try and push up the tunnel. Axe and Ackerman may be the initial point of contact. Needs to be a bit careful, though, because there's plenty of people here hanging out around, but it's Laggers who dies early. Kiro finding that kill. Axe and Ackerman taking some shots right there. Gets droned out. Goes to challenge again on the door. Here comes the Montaigne just walking in, and there's a little bit of an engagement right there. He turns his back on the Montaigne, and that's all the opportunity Mila will need to secure that kill. Axe and Ackerman is down here as there's an attempted defense on the stairs that does not go the way of Xander. Gets absolutely gunned down, and now Riven trying to hold back Kiro on the crossfire.
Mila is one of the best, actually top 2 best collegiate Monties, the other being Taciturn from Alabama Huntsville. If you ever turn your back to Mila and present them with a position where they can just shoot you from behind or melee you, they will take that opportunity. Again, the thing with the seasoned veterans Monties are they know when to take gunfights and when to not. We saw Mila make a mistake back on Villa one of the few times that they do, and look at this deployable plan. Mila's just absorbing bullets. Providence goes for the free plan. Now, Providence gets smoked in the process, leaving behind Mila, but now you have this giant shield in your way and a secondary shield to boot as well, because Hangman is playing on the Osa. So proper coverage all around. Not Sod gets eviscerated. And how do you break this down if you're uOttawa? It's incredibly important that you go for a flank. Here's Kiro doing exactly that. Monty turns their back. Hangman finds an additional kill. And how has it all gone wrong? The 7-second defuse time, and the door frame is being blocked by the Monty. Mila's on lower HP. They're probably going to die to one more of these bullets, but Purdue has just won this round. Incredible fashion. There's no way they should have got the plant down.
Oh, that's just vile. Like, it's really, I mean, really well done. Like, very clever, but also kind of evil. Is how I would put that. It's just really clever. Like, this man putting the shield behind the shield, and Montaigne pushes forward. The Montaigne player is really good, so he knows what he has to do. Then the Osa on the coverage, and it's Hangman who's really good at gunfights. That's just, man, I don't even know what to say about that, Brian. That was really well done.
Again, you know why I love Bang? Because there's so many shenanigans that you do. Those are one of those rounds that you're just going to depart with a smile on your face. Even if you are a uOttawa fan and you're tuning in to support your roster, those are one of those rounds that you just, again, you're like, this is why Rainbow Six Siege is different than every other FPS. Because you can do really weird things like that and have weird synergy between operators. And again, like that's why we're here with Rainbow Six Siege today.
Indeed. And here we are on match point. uOttawa only managing to pick up one of these sites so far. It's not been the best of maps for them, especially on their map pick, but they probably can soon put this one in the review mirror and see what they can learn here. Purdue, meanwhile, has been skating on Bank for only having played it once before, looking very confident and very capable here on this this Bank map.
No. Why would you put a Wamai Pancake next to that Goyo shield, especially if Purdue doesn't do their job burning utility? Because if they just whip a nade, that Goyo shield is going to get destroyed by the grenade and also destroy the Wamai Pancake. It's a lot of very precious utility being wasted. We're going to be seeing one of the red hatches drop, probably going to be lobby, but not Sod is over here, and Laggers is going to be that point of contact, either going downstairs to the basement or entering in through lone tellers, and it's going to be Laggers downstairs into the basement. So not Sod is now pinned. You're going to have to rotate an additional defender on over to protect them. That rotation does not take place with Sod being droned, and they've now lost their life.
Yeah, again, it's not been a very good map for Not Sod. Not only reinforces it, Kiro, though, doing a good job of kind of returning the favor, does manage to secure a kill. Laggers now pushing up. Laggers pretty free here on the Nook. Will go ahead and take Riven down, and now the Fox is well within the hen house. Laggers forced to fall back right there, just get caught out by Alex Ackerman. Now comes a bit of a strong showing from the defense. Goose Smitty there, though, immediately trying to shut things down. Hangman now backed into a corner. Hangman swings round, going down towards the vault. He gets gunned down. Axe and Ackerman with a double kill.
Goose Smitty, the last representative for the Purdue attack here in round number 8. And While the diffuser's isolated and the members of uOttawa know exactly where Goose Mini is, you're not going to be able to work your way up one of those stairwells. You're going to have to take these gunfights, and a beautiful pixel angle from Xander. And wow, you only saw Goose Mini's head for a split second there, but the Chonka LMG is good enough for that kill. uOttawa will continue on fighting for another round.
Very good play right there at the tail end. Gotta love the use of the Tachanka LMG right there, the old Russian World War II model coming in big. Now we go back to I believe it's going to be Executive Lounge. Sure enough, it is. They'll go up to the second floor now. Bringing that Valkyrie out. We didn't mention Valkyrie was on the board in this particular matchup, but I think this is the first time we're seeing it. Alibi making an appearance. Kapkan as well in this lineup. An interesting set of operators actually being brought by the defenders. I don't know if I necessarily think that you're going to get a ton of value, say, out of a Kapkan here, but he's never he's always a threat. You've got to take him into account, and it's not as if I think Purdue has been doing a ton of droning, mostly just droning in its lead elements, so maybe you'll catch somebody off guard. Laggers here showing us a potential pick over to Blackbeard, something that he's flashed a couple of times in this matchup, Brian, but has yet to commit to. Maybe this will be the one.
I'm really eager to see if this is going to be a banana take with the Monty. This is actually an OG strategy. Back on the original Bank, we've seen it kind of poke its ugly head out every so often here on the new iteration of Bank, and you just basically have a Monty walk up the banana stairs, which is over towards the west, and yeah, say, try to challenge me, defenders. If you do, we're going to have so many attackers in the sector of the map, there's going to be nothing that you can do. Now, with them queuing over to the northeast, I think that execute that I was hoping for is not going to be taking place as much as I'd have liked. Instead, it's going to be, well, the entire team, including Mila, repelling on south windows. That's a new one.
That is a new one, and Laggers is going to try and play off of that with the ballistic shield already gone. Both the ballistic shields already gone. Hangman tried to plead cheeky there as well. Oh, no, he's got one on his gun. My apologies. Again, Axe and Ackerman playing a really aggressive defense right there. Kind of looking at the window. Kiro all the way down here in the basement has absolutely nothing to do. I think the fight has kind of passed him by. Maybe he'll rotate up a different direction as Mila now, considering their options, may go rappel back up to that window here. Is on a Montaigne after all, so probably not the best use of a Montaigne I've ever seen. But hey, if it makes you happy.
I don't know. We're back to having extreme problems. I think this is actually a good opportunity to talk about the teams that Purdue has lost to. It has been NC State a few times, Akron a few times, and the only team that isn't top 10 that Purdue has lost to was Wisconsin. And that was actually quite a while ago. We have to go all the way back to November 19th, the last time that Purdue has lost a series against a team that isn't top 10 nationally ranked. Again, uOttawa has really strong gunners, and it's been demonstrated so far, but I think Match Point is now confirmed at this point. Not Sod, one of the best amateur gunners, and they're certainly removing members of the Purdue offense. And oh my god, they could go for an ace right now. If anybody can, it's going to be Not Sod, though. Providence through the wall will put a stop to those shenanigans, and Purdue takes the series 2-0.
Oh, there was a brief moment there, Chief, where it looked like the window might open for glory, but it is not to be. Unfortunately for the members of Ottawa, it is Purdue taking a walk-off win here on Bank. They didn't look particularly fussed except for one or two rounds. A very solid performance from the Purdue team across this entire map.
Wow. Again, Purdue, one of the best teams in the nation, and I have to admire uOttawa for standing their ground and playing well. To be able to take gunfights and win multiple gunfights and multiple rounds against, again, one of the best teams in the nation is very difficult to do. And I really hope that uOttawa departs today not frustrated, but kind of learning this is what Purdue does. This is kind of what we need to do if we want to find ourselves in the top 10 in the nation. Again, this is an excellent learning opportunity for uOttawa, and I really hope that they take today to kind of learn what Purdue does well, and it's going to be that team play and that ability to click heads. Again, Not Sod, a phenomenally strong amateur gunner, but they weren't just not enough to take victory today.
Yeah, and like you said, still some work to be done and some lessons to be learned. And I mean, on the side of Purdue, right, you can chalk this one up as a relatively easy win, all things considered, but no reason to be resting on your laurels, right? They've had a good week so far this week. Like you said, they had a great CR6 match the other day. They've had a good match here in the NECC as well. And hopefully, they'll be able to sort of parse that confidence, the confidence that they're playing with, the aggression that they're playing with, into continued success in their competitive endeavors here.
Tristan, my friend, it's been a pleasure casting with you as always. But right now, I want to take this time to thank Michael, our producer, Owen, our observer, and the entire NEC staff that helps make this production possible. And of course, you, the viewers, for always tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude the Rainbow Six Siege side, at least here on the Bravo channel. We're going to be turning you guys over to Binks and Light Rose on the main channel. Until next time, my friends, stay safe, stay well, and enjoy the A stream.